This little bridge here, as you can see, it's a bridge for walking over. It was actually used as part of a James Bond film, Octopussy, I think. If memory serves, and I'm not a James Bond fan, despite being British, I'm not a James Bond fan. I think the films are ridiculous. But if memory serves, it was a railway bridge and got destroyed when a train went over it, or a train got destroyed when it went over it, or something like that anyway. As you can clearly see, it's not a railway bridge, it's one for walking on. I think it was Octopussy anyway. I watched the first Daniel Craig James Bond and thought that was passable, but as for Quantum of Solace, oh please, that was appalling. It was just totally unwatchable. But that's just my opinion. You might disagree with me. That's fine, I don't mind. Why would I mind? In fact, if you're a Jehovah's Witness lurker, are you really allowed to watch those sort of films? They feature violence. Violence. That's interesting, isn't it? Jehovah's Witnesses are told that they're peaceable people, and if everybody in the world were a Jehovah's Witness, there wouldn't have been any wars. Interesting that Judge Rutherford sided with Hitler against the Jews. Well, we all know why he did that. Oh, you don't? Okay, well, if you're a Jehovah's Witness lurker, look it up. I'm not going to give you any references. Besides, I don't have any on me here. I'll give you a hint. A yearbook in the time of Rutherford. And you will find the history of Jehovah's Witnesses is a little bit more startling than you probably thought. And you probably think that's old. That's old light, old hat, and you know, you can't really go back that far. But just ask yourself, would you go back that far if you were trying to refute the Catholic Church or any other church? You would, wouldn't you? So the same yardstick has to be used for Jehovah's Witnesses. Otherwise, it's not an even playing field. Violence. Wow, there's some violent images in the publications. Absolutely vile. Disgusting images in children's books of violence. You wonder why Jehovah's Witnesses, a lot are suffering from mental problems. You won't allow your kids to play violent games. Well, that's up to individual choice. You won't watch violent films. What will you do? Oh yeah, you'll read violent publications. And even if you don't agree with that, think about this. Violent speech in the Watchtower. Very recently, mentally diseased apostates. And more spectacularly violent, Jehu. Slaughter of apostates. The governing bodies there implying that elders should be allowed to kill members of ex-members of Jehovah's Witnesses who don't agree that the governing body are God's mouthpiece anymore. That's what that means. So yeah, the Watchtower, violence. Violence. They feature violence in many of the publications. The violent pictures on the front of watchtowers about doomsday and death and soon and Armageddon. With these people with these freaky smiles coming out of Armageddon while people behind them are being murdered. Mass murder by this trademark god that the watchtowers invented. Yeah. How violent. Not like round here. It's tranquil and peaceful.